starting with the nation. 2023, another attack on INEC offices raises concerns over polls. Despite in Customs Service as top officers seek tenure extension, NRC to enforce no NIN, no ticket on Abuja-Kaduna train, and troops kill 4 bandits. Federal government bans export of raw gold. Adeleke, I will strengthen security, boost workers' welfare. Tinubu, most experienced candidate, says Ayade. Azura targets 3,500 megawatts power generation. And Morocco's win over Belgium thrills Okocha. Okay, which story are we starting with?
We'll start with INEC. So there was another attack at the Independent National Electoral Commission office yesterday. This happened in Izzi local government area in Ebonyi State. And this is like the 3rd one in 3 weeks that is happening. So the IG of Police Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman has ordered police commissioners to fortify all facilities belonging to the commission across the states. They said they had, at the news conference November 11, the INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, had put the number of INEC offices that have been attacked by hoodlums to about 50 offices. And he said the attack was also recorded in 21 states. So they are saying that this particular attack that happened in Ebonyi State happened about 10 a.m. and they were able to destroy 340 ballot boxes, 130 voting cubicles, 14 electric power generators, water storage tanks, assorted office furniture and fixtures, and they are yet to determine the amount of PVCs that were destroyed as well. So it's raising a lot of concern for individuals on the safety of the 2023 elections. But the police is on top of it. They're saying they're going to equip and surround most of their commissions across states.
Can we even know who these people are? Can we arrest them? Can we put them on TV and see their faces and lock them up?
Exactly. Let me take the story. The federal government has said they're banning the export of raw gold, gemstones, and other solid materials. According to them, they're releasing, according to the Mines and Steel Development Minister, Mr. Olalekan Adegbite, was saying that they've introduced something called the downstream mineral policy, which stops Nigerians or ensures the Nigerians that when you mine from Nigeria, you sell, you either process it yourself. If you cannot process it yourself, you sell to Nigerian processors who can therefore convert it to gold and then sell. And they're planning to have something called the Kano Gold Souk, to have where they have people come from all over the world to come and buy gold there, and they're trying to enforce this. As I say, these are always great ideas, just like we saw with the anchor borers. Nigerians will still get the mining approval and still probably sell to international processors because they will get more money. So it's still about patriotism at some point, but I hope that they'll have policies to be able to stop this from happening.
Yeah, okay. So going forward, the Abuja-Kaduna train route will be open in about a week. That's what the Minister for Transportation, Ma'azu Sambo, says. Over the weekend, he embarked on what they call an assessment of the rail tour. Yeah. And it's been 8 months since the very sad incident of the attack and kidnapping of many of the passengers. Remember, some of them ransom had to be paid for them, and then the remaining were eventually rescued. And so going forward, to apply that, to get on a train, you have to have your NIN. So one NIN, one ticket. So one person cannot come and buy 15 tickets if there are no NIN numbers attached to the person. At the entrance, when you get to the station, your profile will come up. Oh. And if your profile does not come up, you cannot get on the train. There's also more security in the train. He says that most of them will also be in plain clothes, so you would not know. And he says there are other security measures that have been put in place that he cannot talk about. Share with us. And there will no longer be night travel on that route, at least for now. And the train driver would be able to see, there will be a screen. First of all, at the station, they'll be able to see like the road. And then the train driver is able to see the ahead. They said quite a distance ahead, so that if there's something, if there's a threat that is approaching, he will be able to step on his brakes long before he gets to that. So it looks like they're putting a lot of things in place. He said there are still other issues that they would work on. And so it looks like they have really done their homework.
the Lagos, the train that goes to Ibadan, and there were 2 police officers in the train. So I don't know that.
They wore police uniforms.
When I saw that, but there may be other.
I didn't even see them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to take the story from the Nigerian Customs Services. So there's a sort of disquiet. It seems like a subtle protest because a few officers have uncovered moves by senior officers. We're talking Deputy Controller General, Assistant Controller General that are due for retirement after 35 years of service have refused to go on pre-retirement leave. They are due for retirement in December 2022, and they're supposed to go for leave for 3 months before then. But many of them are still resuming in the office every day, claiming that they are indispensable to the service. So all people are saying, what exactly, how would you be indispensable? If you've been a good leader, you should have put in structure in place. He said, why will a public servant want to remain beyond 35 years in service? What other motive can be responsible for this other than selfish reasons? So they're calling on the president, they're calling on the president to step into it, and that about 4 to 15 people are refusing to step down. Now there's a circle of life. People are supposed to get old and then ease out so that younger people can move into power. I feel like it is wrong for anyone to get unfair extensions, especially when there are other people who have served to be at that position as well.
Statutory.
It's statutory, but we've seen within this administration some people getting extensions in their...
But this is not an extension. This is those people who come into work
they
and
refuse
refuse
to retire.
Moving on quickly to the punch. Fuel scarcity, NNPC petrol price without subsidy is 400 naira to the litre, says marketers. Adeleke versus Oyetola's appointment says action malicious. New governor started work today, Monday morning. Saudi-bound trafficker conceals cocaine in sandals. Election results nationwide. E-transmission possible, says telcos. Yuletide NCDC warns of possible COVID-19 infection rise. POS fraud. How slack guidelines banks apathy cost Nigerians huge losses. And Punch wins newspaper of the year. 8 others at the NMMA. Okay, which story are we starting with?
The LEA have confirmed the arrest of a 56-year-old cocaine trafficker. His name is Lawa Oyenoga. He was caught trying to smuggle 400 grams of cocaine in a pair of palm slippers. He said he was recruited by a notorious kingpin called Wasiu Bolahan, and that this kingpin has also been arrested. He's been part of many of the smuggling that's been going on. A lot of the people that have been arrested, his name sort of comes on, so he has actually been on their radar, NDLEA's radar. And they said that this man says that he wanted to raise money for his daughter's exams. She's in SS3, and so that was why he decided to do this. How much? Okay. He said that was why he agreed to be a mule. And his arrest happened just a week after another 56-year-old widow was caught with cocaine as well. She had put it in her shoes and was traveling to Saudi. This particular kingpin that's been recruiting these mules, they said that most of the smuggling he does, his route is UAE, Saudi, Qatar and all those areas. He also said, this person that was arrested, he said that they actually gave him pellets to swallow because he couldn't do it, so they gave him another
option.
Another option.
It's in his slippers.
Let me take the major headlines. So the National Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, Mr. Chief Ukadike Chinedu, has said that the NNPC is very tough to continue subsidizing PMS. According to them, the least that the NNPC can sell is 400 naira to the litre at depots because they can't continue the 145 naira to the litre because the subsidy obviously is overbearing on them, and all of them has been struggling to subsidize. According to them, that's why you see all the lapses that we're seeing where there are queues in the trunks. The government is looking for dollars to import this product and pay the contractors importing the NNPC, and it's also trying to subsidize the PMS at the same time. So the same issue we'll be talking about, the fact that from the mother vessel to the daughter vessel, and they're passing on the cost because according to them, they used to buy it at $38,000. Now they're having to buy it at $111,000. And of course, who's going to pay it? They're going to trickle that cost down to us. So they're having meetings and they're saying if they're going to remove subsidy at all.
This has nothing to do with subsidy. This is just
400 naira to the dollar.
Logistics.
Because, no, it's not about logistics. It's the fact that the value of the naira has obviously reduced. So I cannot continue to subsidize because if the country is insisting on 145 naira to the PMS, it's not possible for the person importing it from NNPC. Now the mother vessel, big NNPC, but me, I'm going to bring it home.
in,
I need to
the
be able
cost
to
of
pay for it.
logistics has gone up.
And it's international rates I'm going to use, not there's no Nigerian rate.
Hey.
So anyway,
sad.
let's move on to another
So
story.
the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke,
congratulations to him.
inaugurated as the
he's a new
sixth
governor.
Yes.
of the state. Yes, he was inaugurated yesterday, and he went ahead to cancel some things, sharp. So he
Those
announced
particular ones.
an immediate return to the status quo of all fresh appointments, placements, and other major decisions taken by the past administration with effect from July 1st, 2022. So he said that there were mass employments that were carried out without budgetary provisions for them. They were struggling to pay salaries, and yet they kept, getting people into the system. There were various horrid and criminally backdated contracts which were awarded without budgetary provisions. So what he now said he's going to do, so he's appealed to the people of Osun State to be patient with him, that he wants to clean up the system, that he's going to be issuing some directives which will be backed up by the appropriate executive order very soon. And one of them is immediate freezing of all government financial institutions, immediate establishment of a panel to carry out an inventory and recover all of government assets, and then also a panel to review the appointment that was given from July 17, 2022, and finally changing the name of the state back to Osun State and not the state of Osun, because that is not recognized in the constitution. Wish him all the best. So
I've been thinking of what the day one would look like today. They'll be dancing and
they are not dancing.
I think
serious-minded human being.
Monday
I know
morning.
Dancing does not mean we are not serious.
Please, though. I know that this Monday morning.
We will do praise and worship in that new office. Yes, we need to. That's our
style.
But I would like to take the
a boss
previous.
that just dances.
Likes dancing. It should be a fun working environment. I want to take the previous administration though. Osun State former governor, now former governor Adegboyega Oyetola, in his closing remarks as he stepped down from being the governor, mentioned how well he's done. He said that he has left Osun State better than he met it in 2018. Said he has paid 97 billion naira out of the inherited debts, and that he didn't borrow a dime all through his 4 years. Wow. And I wanted to say that because he did those 4 years, people are not mentioning the good things. So we've taken the new governor, we mentioned the old governor. He didn't borrow money. We remember how the Osun State was struggling to pay salaries. And the debt they were on before he came into power. He said he didn't borrow to pay any salaries. He was able to manage the affairs of the state and put the state in better economic state. He also mentioned that he left 14 billion naira cash in the state coffers, and that the state government is expecting $72 million from other programs from the NG Care program from the federal government, among others. That still coming into the coffers.
That, because before somebody starts telling you, oh, they did not do this, I'm telling you what I left.
I left money and I paid debt, and I did not incur any debt despite the economic hardship.
But this is Nigeria, where somebody will say, I left how many $1 billion? The other person say, which dollars did you leave? It was empty. So who is here to confirm when this is done? We also need someone, an independent party, to confirm this was what was
But please, I'm happy that
he gave his own account.
Seamless transition, and then he was able to give account of what is stewardship. Let's move on quickly now to Daily Sun. Power show at National Assembly. 2 clerks emerge as outgoing one refuses to vacate office. Fuel scarcity persists as filling stations ration product. Heaps of decayed naira found in refuse dump currency outside banks rose from 108 billion to 2.4 trillion in October. Imagine that. 2023 replaced Tinubu as presidential candidate, article tells APC. Again, women to occupy National Assembly to force lawmakers to represent the rejected gender bills. Abuja-Kaduna train service to resume in 7 days. All drilling. Mistakes of Niger Delta won't repeat in North, says Gombe governor. How I sustained economy without borrowing in 4 years, says Oyetola. Governor Adeleke assumes office, pledges to correct injustices in Osun. And troops kill 4 bandits in Kaduna. Which story are we starting with in Sun?
Well, in the north, they now have oil, as we know.
Yeah.
Now, when they're talking as
oil producing.
Oil producing. So the new oil producing governor of Gombe State, the Gombe State governor, he was in an interview with BBC Hausa, he was just talking about the fact that now they're an oil-producing state, and they're also careful not to make the mistakes that has been made in the Niger Delta. He said that they're putting a lot of things into consideration. He says the Niger Delta, we are aware of the agitations of the host communities and how they felt that they were not properly compensated or whatever was meant for them, funds that were meant for them never got to them. And so they are putting that into consideration to make sure that's not a mistake that they make. He talked about environmental degradation and so many other things. And he's just basically saying that we're learning from that and we will not repeat those mistakes here. I'm happy that, this is the conversation that they're having now. So next stop is, what exactly would you be putting in place to make sure this does not occur again? We're talking of environmental degradation. We're talking about the host communities. What would the indigenous, what would the people who have lived in those particular areas that you're now taking out this crude oil from, what compensations would they get? What would the compensation look like when it comes to the education of their children, when it comes to hospital facilities? But anyway, he says that this is good news for them, of course, in the state, that this will bring them blessings and many developments in their state. And I wish them all the best.
So I want to take the story about young people shouldn't wait till they are 40 or 50 before they aspire to become leaders. It's from the Cardinal Onayekon. I want to take John Cardinal Onayekon. And he was speaking at Shaping the Future, organized by the Boys Champion in Enugu. He spoke about the fact that he doesn't understand the style of leadership we have now, where the truth is leaders should be servants, not that the people that gave them power should be serving them. He stressed the fact that we shouldn't wait until 40s or 50 before we start leading, that we can see that the leadership of the country isn't doing what they are meant to do, and people should aspire for leadership roles in the country. They should challenge those that are elected. Once they're elected to the office, insist leaders should be servants. Leaders, anybody that is leading should know that he is there to serve. And basically...
Okay, so the manifesto led by the country director, Action Aid Nigeria, NLB, will be occupying the National Assembly to flag off the activities of the 16th day of activism against gender-based violence to commemorate the 2022 theme, Unite, Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls. And this is just to remind the National Assembly that they will never forget the wrong that was done to Nigerian women on March 1st, 2022. We can never forget the fact that gender bills were thrown out and that we must represent those bills again in the coming assembly. Moving on quickly now to Vanguard, let's see the major headlines. Let's find a story we've not taken. We have identified 100 high-risk financiers of Boko Haram. You should have taken that story because I know you'll be looking for the financiers. Why petrol shortage worsens in Lagos or others. Sultan laments involvement in Fulani in banditry kidnapping. Why did the CJN actually say? What did the CJN actually say on the G5 in Port Harcourt? Stakeholders, Lord Jimovia and others, alumni building after the Ibidapo Obe, and 2023 Atiku Obi attack Tinubu. Which story are we taking?
At the third ministerial conference on counter-terrorism financing with the theme No Money for Terror, which took place in India, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, said that the federal government has identified 100 high-risk financiers of Boko Haram, and that they have started... They did not give us the names. So they said the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, started that investigation from 2019. And they found these 100 persons who are supposedly connected, and said they are connected to like 10 different international countries outside where they are getting some of their funds from. And so they've commenced investigation. They have arrested a few of them, I think about 40-something of them, and prosecution will be happening. They are still on the tail of others. I would have loved that their names were published so that we are
for
sure
security reasons,
and follow up with the prosecution. So now, how do we test that they were actually arrested and prosecuted?
You wouldn't even know mention the names. You know them. They're not your uncles.
It doesn't
What
matter.
we want is more security.